So there were things as early as 3 that I noticed, with the clearing of the throat, and he also would, something that was really interesting, and I think this one was OCD. He would pick things up with his fist. He wouldn't touch things, and it was really strange, and I really didn't know what to make of it, so I kind of just let that one go. Again, I think kids can be a little strange, and that's not a bad thing. So he would pick things up with his hands, and he would smell his hands a lot. He'd have to sniff his hands if he got the scent of something on. He also didn't like to get dirty, which I thought was really strange because he was a boy, and I would try to convince him to get dirty. Most mothers are trying to keep their kids clean, and I was trying to get Jacob dirty. He doesn't have a problem with that now, but so early on there were things that I now recognize, but it's kind of started to, what I first remember where I really knew something was going on is if he burped or something, he would say pardon, but he wouldn't just say pardon. He'd say pardon, 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 and on and on and on and on. And I can remember saying, Jacob, you only need to say that once. You're being polite, but you only need to say it one time. And, and he would keep repeating and repeating. And, I can remember getting mad at him. And looking back now, of course I feel really terrible about that, but I didn't know at the time. But I can remember, Jacob, you are getting on my nerves. Would you please stop? You only need to say it one time. So that was really the first thing that I remember. And it began to progress from there. So it started with that, with the throat clearing, which is easy to explain away. Throat clearing and sniffing, because we live in Savannah, Georgia. Pollen's really bad, so it's allergies. That's the first thing that you think is, oh, he's just got allergies. Give him some Benadryl, And he always had an excessive amount of energy. More than God ever intended any one child to have, and he still does. So that was around age 6, and we knew that something was going on. He got sick when he was 5 years old, and he stopped eating. He started chewing up his food and spitting his food out. We would find food spit out in the cup holders in the car, just in odd places. You could tell that he had chewed it up and spit it out, and so obviously that was strange. He would spit all the time, which I now know was a tic, and that's kind of how that whole thing started. So when he began to spit his food out, we got concerned. He lost a lot of weight, and he was a very thin child to begin with. So we took him to the doctor. The doctor said, it's a behavioral thing, don't worry about it. Came home, and a day or 2 later he was losing weight, and I said, something's wrong. We took him to a gastroenterologist, who said he needed to have a barium swallow, which I laughed at, because this is a child who will not eat or drink anything that's not, pizza or Sprite, or, he's very, very particular. So we opted against that just to see what was going on. Then we wound up taking him to the pediatrician, who again said, you need to have the barium swallow done. So we had that done, and he actually did it. He surprised us all, and he did it. And they found that he had an infection in the lining of his stomach, and so he was hungry, but his stomach felt very full, so he couldn't swallow the food. So he'd chew it up and he'd spit it out. And so it was right after that his tics began to get worse, and we actually took him to Dr. Winders, the child psychiatrist, and he diagnosed Jacob with Tourette's. And on one level, it was very comforting, even though I knew. It was very comforting to have a formal diagnosis. I had done my research on the internet probably too much, and read things that I didn't want to read and got upset about things. But to have a formal diagnosis, it was comforting in a way, and it was very upsetting in another way, because I was mad.
Also, explain his fits when he gets frustrated in public.
Ooh, that's areas. A good one. Okay, well, let's just give a very specific example of that with, we went ice skating. You remember that. We went ice skating this past Christmas, and that was, it could have been a whole lot of fun. Jacob's a perfectionist, and he got very very upset, and he completely lost it. The whole family was there, me and Warner and Nicholas and Jacob. And Jacob got really, really upset, began pounding the glass. He threw a chair, I believe, and I think I remember telling him that the police were going to make him leave if he continued to throw chairs around. I said, let's just go ahead and get out on the ice and try to forget this whole thing. And I started to walk away from him, and he yelled out something or another, and "you freak." And I tend to be the one who gets the blunt of things. But anyway, we did get through that. But he tends to be very grabby too, and he grabbed me, and thank God we were not on the ice, because I'm not coordinated in the first place. And so anyway, he grabbed me, and at that point, of course, he was being really loud, and Warner heard and kind of came to my rescue. And so, I mean, Jacob's on the floor rolling around screaming, everybody is staring. And I think the thing that was most embarrassing is just because that's what they saw of Jacob, and that's just not who he is.